Hi everyone, Chris here from Primac Sports with our first standalone edition of the Super Rugby Power Rankings, the wrap-up of Week 2 of the Super Rugby competition. There were some interesting results obviously on the weekend, a couple of significant upsets that really opened up the competition, and a couple of other teams that proved their genuine capabilities as title contenders. At the top of the Power Rankings we've got the ACT Brumbies. Impressive again, another win over a likely playoff contender in the Waratahs. They looked in control for the whole match. I was extremely impressed with Christian Lealiafano and Tavita Kuridrani. Kuridrani topped a number of stats across this week's Super Rugby, including 4 line breaks and a massive 7 tackle busts. They look hard to beat and will pose a tough opposition to the Western Force this weekend, who will really need to step up their game another gear. In second place, we've got the Sharks from South Africa. They were strong in finishing off the Jaguares, even though they were outscored in terms of tries 2-1. The boot of Joe Peterson proved the difference for the Sharks. There's another strong performance by loose forwards as well there. Marcel Coetzee and Jean-Luc Dupris really standing up for the Sharks and helping them get across the line. In third place, we've got the Stormers. They backed up their win over the Bulls in Week 1 with a good but not dominant win over the Cheetahs. Probably should have put more on the Cheetahs outfit, but were impressive in patches and led by their ever-present open-side breakaway, Schalkberger. The Lions pulled off the upset of the round. Following their win over the Sunwolves, rolled a disappointing Chiefs outfit in Waikato, including holding off a late comeback in a high-scoring affair. Coach Johan Ackerman will certainly be looking to shore up their defence in the coming weeks. In fifth, we've got the Crusaders from Canterbury. After a late loss to the Chiefs in Week 1, the men in red bounced back with vigour against the Blues. Again, very impressive for the Crusaders, their fly half Richie Mo'unga. He's probably been the best of the fly halves in the Australia-New Zealand Conference, certainly this season so far. In sixth, we've got the Bulls. They bounced back from their worrying start against the Stormers with an absolute clinic against the Rebels. Although there are a few concerns over allowing 4 second-half tries, which cost them a bonus point, which wouldn't have impressed their coach. Notable mention here certainly goes to Bjorn Besson, picking up a hat-trick in the first 45 minutes of the match. In seventh, we've got the Western Force, a massive defensive effort, admittedly against the lacklustre Reds, but strong nonetheless. Impressive in not letting any tries across the 80 minutes. John O'Lance certainly looked the best of theirs, controlling the match from the get-go, scoring a personal tally of 15 points. Michael Follow have a few concerns over the fact it took them to the 80th minute to manage to get across against one of the most poor sides so far in the Super Rugby. The Waratahs sit in 8th. Where to start? I'm sure Daryl Gibson will just be talking discipline for the first part of this week. It cruelled the Waratahs with them seeing 20 minutes of the first half, a man down in their forwards, with Will Skelton and Dean Mumm seeing yellow cards. This undoubtedly led to fatigue, which saw the Brumbies take the game away in the last 15 minutes. They'll certainly be looking forward to a week's rest before they regroup against the defending champions. The Highlanders sit in 9th. They got out of jail with a 76-minute penalty to scrape home an enthralling affair against the Hurricanes. Malachi Fekitoa, as always, was impressive. 1 try, 3 line breaks, 75% strike rate in defensive efforts. Have a big task ahead of themselves against the undefeated Lions at home this week. In 10th, we've got the Jaguares. The Argentinian boys came back to earth as they fell to a Sharks side in a grinding encounter. 2 weeks in South Africa began to show as discipline and fatigue took their toll. Admittedly, they scored 2 tries to 1. They played 9 minutes with only 13 men on the field in the first half due to issues with the man with the whistle. They'll certainly need to improve ahead of their first home game against the Chiefs in round 4. In 11th, we've got the Chiefs. The boys from Waikato got the great escape in round 1 against the Crusaders, but could not do the same against the Lions at home, which will certainly disappoint. Certainly raised some question marks over their playoff aspirations for myself. They now travel to South Africa to take on the Kings before heading to the toughest road trip of the schedule, over to Buenos Aires to take on the Jaguares. In 12th, we've got the Hurricanes. What has happened to last year's near untouchable minor premiers? Thumped by the Brumbies in round 1 before throwing away this round's match against the Highlanders with ill discipline late. Need to turn it around against the Blues this week, otherwise it's a long way to the finals, let alone a shot at back-to-back triumphs. Seemed last week Beauden Barrett was the only man aware of the expectation that he play 80 minutes. In 13th, we've got the Rebels. Faced a tough first 2 weeks in trips to Perth, then across to South Africa to face the Bulls. I suspect they'd be happy with a 1-1 record, and having stopped taking the Bulls taking away a bonus point. They now face the Reds, who have just parted ways with their coach Richard Graham, finally, but beware the wounded Reds, Melbourne. In 14th, we've got the Blues. Were impressive in their first upset win over the defending premiers, the Highlanders, but bounced back to earth in their true form lines with a loss to the Crusaders, who appeared to have never have the result in doubt, and they'll certainly need to step up the Blues there against a smarting Hurricane side in round 3. In 15th, we've got the Cheetahs. They've dropped 2 home matches in a row and have only 1 competition point to show for those 2 home games. They'll really need to step up their displays soon or may find their playoff dreams completely dashed before mid-April. Honourable mentions again to captain Francois Venter at 13, who toiled all day, but one man can't carry a team and they need to take the points this week on the road to the Sunwolves to continue their climb. In 16th, we come to the Sunwolves. They set out the week with the bye and saw themselves climb a spot thanks to the ineptitude of the Queensland Reds. They host the Cheetahs this weekend at home in a game they'll see as very winnable and an opportunity to register their first one of their campaign in Super Rugby history. In 17th, as with the Sunwolves, we see the Kings sitting there. Again, had a week off, climb a spot thanks to the Reds. They'll certainly fancy themselves a chance at home in Port Elizabeth against the Chiefs after the boys from Waikato dropped a home fixture to the Lions. And finally, in 18th place, we have the Queensland Reds. What can we say about the Reds? Possibly the less the better. The only positives that come out of their results are Ayuma Goromari getting a full run in the red jersey at 15. The news every Queenslander has been waiting to hear for the last year and a bit, the sacking of Richard Graham. Boys from Brisbane certainly need to step up massively on the road this week to the Rebels if they are to be taken seriously at all in 2016. Thanks again for tuning in, guys. I look forward to giving you the weekly wrap for the Super Rugby later in the week. Stay tuned for that, as well as a number of our other sports previews. And as always, remember to like, share, comment, let us know what you think, and let us know if there's anything you'd like to see added or taken away. Thanks again.